you love to do bishops and hate to do the placket? Most people do, and I've taught bishop class many times, from starting way back, longer than I want to think about. And doing a continuous placket down the back for someone who's just starting sewing is very difficult. So I had to come up with a way that a student could be more successful as a beginner student, and even as a good seamstress. I mean, sometimes when you're doing a continuous placket with a seam down the back, it's just a little harder. So this is what I came up with for my bishops. I do this all the time. I use the little elastic loops that you use for bridal dresses, and I make sure that the big part of it, the binding part, is in the seam, so that doesn't show. So all that pokes out are these little loops, and then afterwards you can put your buttons on wherever you need. But you can see how nice this placket is. Let me turn it wrong side out so you can see it even a little better. Should have had two of them, so I could put one wrong side out and one right side out. So you can see how pretty it looks even on the inside. And the way this is sewn, you're going to be able to press the back seam open, so you don't have any chance of having a little opening at the bottom of it like it is sometimes with a continuous placket. So let's get started. I have 2 pieces of fabric pleated. I don't have a whole dress because it's hard to maneuver with a whole dress out here. I have one side of a back pleated and the other side pleated. So the first thing you're going to do is cut 2 strips of fabric that are 2.5 inches wide. Now I like to have my placket 1 inch wide because I don't want, if it opens up a little bit, I don't want anybody seeing any skin underneath there or anything like that. So I like mine to be 1 inch wide. If you like it less, that's good. Just make this smaller. This is going to end up 1 inch placket. So it's 2.5 inches. One end of the placket piece, I'm going to serge the bottom. Now if you don't have a serger, all you have to do is just fold up the bottom and press it, and then sew along here, along the edge, and that'll finish it off. It's no worry. And one side of the placket, you will pin the raw edges together, and you'll sew right next to that first pleat. See if you can see it. Right next to the first pleat, all the way down to the bottom of the placket. Okay, so I'm just sewing. I'm not serging yet, I said. And then I'm going to take the other piece, but before I do that, I'm going to mark where my seam needs to be on the front and on the back. You can kind of see through it. And I want to put my loops, the first one, on the 3rd pleating thread, because I know this is going to be my neckband seam, the second one, because I do a half space 1 and a half space there. So I'm going to put my first loop on the 3rd one, and I know that'll put it in the right place. And then all of this binding right here that's on the little loops is going to be in the seam. So then I just put right sides together like so, and then I'll sew right on the line that I started with, all the way down to the bottom of the placket. So I'll just sew, and then I'm going to go to the serger, and I'm going to serge all the way down the back, through the placket all the way down, and then through this placket all the way down, so that way my whole back seam will be finished off. So I'll do that, and then I'll come right back. Look how beautiful that is. It's all finished off from the top to the bottom. It really does work out so well. And if you'll notice, when you turn this back, there's your first pleat right there. And if you turn this one back, look how nicely those loops just stick out so well. And this will just fold back, like so. All right, so to finish off the bottom, I'm going to use another piece of fabric, just so that I don't have to go to the sewing machine. I'll use another sample. But what you're going to do is, what Jill will do is put both plackets together, right sides together, pinch this seam away from the placket, and you're going to sew from the edge of the placket to that seam. So let me show you on this piece because it's a lot easier to see. So I've got my plackets right sides together. This is the same thing, only this one is pleated. And I pinch the seam back towards the skirt, and I'm going to sew from the edge of the placket and stop and back up so that I have a good seam right there, right next to my seam. The next stitch, because we have to, next seam, because we have to sew down the back of the dress, now we'll pinch the seam towards the placket and sew down the back from where you stopped under here, and sew all the way down the back of the skirt. And once you've done that, all you have to do is, that lays out flat, this one folds back, lays right on top of it, and you see there's just no bump, nothing right there. And on the wrong side, it looks beautiful also, because you can actually press the seam open with no bump. So that's the way the back of your placket for your bishop is going to look. It's gorgeous, and it's so easy. You have to try it.